Okay, so the point of this meeting today is as we get closer to the end of the year, I kind of wanted to go over what we're noticing with behavior for not just the students but the staff as well. And so who I have here for the camera is I have Miss Allen, who's our third grade lead, Miss Trevino, who's our art facilitator, Miss Davenport, who's our fourth grade lead, and then I'm here as the facilitator and the fifth grade lead. And so just kind of having all the leadership in one place for this side of the school, I thought would be a good idea. So our norms for the meeting are to keep honest but constructive. No one person will dominate the agenda. And then, yeah, so here is our agenda. Speaking of that, I want to go over what works, what doesn't, see if we can find the root causes of each of those things, and then some action items. So like I want to go over like what we can implement today, and what, not just talking about like what we want to happen, but what it actually, like what success would look like in that given thing. So each one of those is supposed to take around 10 minutes as long as we stay on track. And any questions about the agenda right now? Good. So I'm going to give us like 5 minutes to just kind of brainstorm. I have that up there twice, but I'm going to give us 5 minutes to brainstorm things that are specific to your grade level, and we should all have something to write with. And so it's not just in the classroom, things that are specific to your grade, things that you're noticing in common areas, so like hallway, dismissal, cafeteria, with the staff as well. So if there's staff specific things that aren't happening, if there's anything there that you want to mention. And then after about 5 minutes, we'll share out and see if we have any things that are like overlapping with one another. So let me make sure that's good. Okay, so 5 minutes. I'm going to move real fast so that you can see everything.
Do you want me to put third through fifth only, or do you want me to do all?
Well, that's part of what I want to do in here, because you've got the unique perspective out of all of us, that you kind of see what's going on throughout the entire school. I know that you work more closely with the bigger kids, but you're also over there on the little side a little more frequently than we are.
Staff, I wanted to give you an announcement that I am aware of what's going on in the community. The district has not told me to lock us down or put us on a hold. I would be careful going outside of the building and make sure you're aware of your surroundings. If I find anything else out, I will let you know. Thank you.
We got about 2 minutes. So, Miss Allen, if you want to start us off, I'm going to kind of start writing some things down for this. We can start with 3rd grade, and then my goal is, like I said, I want to see if anything's overlap at all for like 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, because that's something that I feel like we can lean on as a campus to be like, okay, let's see if we can make that any stronger or use that as kind of a fallback. So,
Okay, so we're talking about,
strengths for right now, yes.
oh, I did the opposite.
Okay, that's fine, we can hold on to that, 'cause that'll actually be the next slide, and then we can kind of table it and go back.
Okay, but I can tell you
Okay, so we
some
can,
strengths
Okay.
that are working. Having clear expectations
Okay.
and reminding them weekly of those expectations. They're 8 and 9-year-olds.
right,
So they need to be consistently reminded of hallway expectations, dismissal expectations, cafeteria expectations, and practicing them,
okay.
you know.
Can I ask,
Yeah.
when you say practice them, like, do you have a regular, like, I'm throwing out an example here, but like, Monday we practice expectations, or is it like on an as-needed basis?
It's as needed, but it's weekly.
Okay, so you making sure that at
That I
least once
hit
a
on it
week?
once a week.
Okay,
Mhm.
alright, so regular reinforcement. What about you, Mr. Nina? Or, I'm sorry, did you have anything else that you wanted to add? Okay,
Number 2, strengths.
yes,
Hallway expectations minus a couple of grades. Like 4th, 5th, 3rd, 2nd grade, they've got hallway pretty much down. I'd say pre-K, kinder, and first are still a little struggle bus just because they're still babies
still learning.
and they're still learning how to be quiet. 1st grade does a really good job of practicing every week to get the routines down, but kinder and pre-K are really kind of struggling with the hallway. But for classroom management, 3rd, 4th, 5th, they all have at least one teacher that has really strong classroom management and routine and structure,
Okay.
which I think helps at least give them the baseline that they need. So even if you do have young baby teachers that,
There's always at least somewhere that they get like the
Yeah.
solid structure. It's not just chaos the entire day. And then that also gives the baby teachers someone to like lean on, be like, how y'all do this here? We need to make sure that we're also matching that everywhere we go. Okay. What about you, Miss Davenport?
I talked about the data talk and wall that's presented. I did list the hallway expectations, which I feel like that is school-wide. The kids know it, whether or not they follow it, they at least know it. I talked about the classroom management, but I put it based on behavior needs because every class is different, so you got to know how to handle the most challenging classes.
Right.
I also talk about, as far as 4th grade, how we dismiss from outside versus inside. That's different. It's kind of helping our climate.
Okay.
At the end of the day, behaviors, and also how instead of having 3 periods, we kind of have 6.5 periods in 4th grade. So we're able to use that hour of core instruction and those other minutes for intervention.
Okay. So with y'all specifically, like the strengths are like y'all know what's different about y'all's grade level, and y'all figured out how to make it work within
that
the
works
grade level
for
for
them.
the specific challenges that you have. So I'm not. I have what I put. I'm gonna kind of go over the stuff that I feel like has worked for all of us. Like when you take into account that, I'm hearing practice a lot. Like we all do a very good job at practicing with the kids. I know in 5th grade, I'm big on. Try not to say I'm a big believer. I'm big on if there's specific struggles, like walking from the cafeteria to the classroom after lunch. Like if we have a practice academy, we're making sure that it's that specific thing that we're practicing. So whatever the behavior is, and like you said, it's kind of responsive to what's going on. I would say that that might be a weakness that we have. It's not as structured like we're doing it at least once a week. It's more just like, I notice that this is slipping, so now we're gonna stop and have a moment to be like, we need to practice this. Or like how to enter the class or anything like that. But that's something I have there. Here in hallways, fairly solid across the board.
I think so. Just because I think also from last year, you know, they pushed it a lot at morning meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that was, most of the kids still have the, like, know it.
And that makes sense like, with the babies too, like pre-K, kinder, and first, those would be the kids that weren't there for morning meeting last year to have that drilled into them. And you said first grade's practicing a lot too, so okay. So I've got, the big thing is with practice and hallway, I'm gonna give us, I know you already kind of have it, I don't feel like it took as much time, but I'm gonna give us maybe like 4 minutes to kind of go over the, where we feel like we're struggling at the grade level. Same basic idea, just now focus on the weaknesses that we have. So, down here, I can't remember for the life of me.
Tina. The one that you were talking to next to Washington.
Yours. And all artists.
I know, do you know her first?
Alright, so, let's start from this way. Ms. Davenport, what do you have for fourth grade?
I put the classroom management based off of our challenging group, because fourth grade is tailored a little bit different. So I talked about the classroom management. Also talked about the non-identified students. This was like we're getting them help and services. And then I also talked about the constant testing as
Okay.
well.
Okay. So testing with, so in your specific, like for fourth grade, you're saying the classroom management can be like something that's not working. Okay. Can you elaborate on that? What do you mean by?
Since we have a different dynamic in fourth grade, although we have a structured class, that is our most challenging class. So that is a class where we need all kind of hands on deck.
Mhm.
So the classroom management it is a pro for the other classes, but then it is a con for that class because we have to tailor it to fit their needs.
Okay. So I'm gonna put, and tell me if this makes sense, I'm gonna put individualized classroom management, because
Yes.
like, the tier one classroom management is there, but for the ones that are a little bit of a challenge, knowing how to, you're saying like knowing how to get it to them, okay. What about you, Mr. Vino?
From what I see, piggybacking off Davenport, classroom management, the teachers who got it, but obviously you can go into a room for inclusion or resource and you can tell the first few minutes of walking in who has procedures and rules set and who doesn't. So it just kind of depends on who you're in, which classroom. So classroom management, I think, should be a staple across the board, but that's something you learn with time. So having a retain rate of teachers that come back and have decent norms and procedures, I think could help benefit the teachers, the students. But as for like structural wise and like common areas, cafeteria, second grade and up are struggling in cafeteria. I know they've tried to put in place the second and third grade noise competitions. Whoever's the quietest gets the most points, but I don't really see them doing that with fourth and fifth.
I didn't know that that was a thing, so that answers your question
Yeah.
right there.
And then dismissal could go, not necessarily in the uppers, but in the lowers could go a lot better. Because before they moved me to bus, I was second grade and I couldn't hear anything that they say on the overhead. And it's still pretty bad because you don't know who's here. They don't have enough planning to be like, oh, this person's not going to be here, who's going to cover? So there's sometimes bus people going, you got a bunch of kindergartners holding hands going down to the bus by themselves because you don't know who's going to pick them up that day. And there's just not enough staff to student ratio in order to make it go more seamless.
Okay. Hang on, let me tailor that, because that's, my question goes on the next slide. Do you have anything else at all? No. Okay. What about you, Miss Allen?
Classroom management
Okay.
in third grade specifically.
Okay. And it's not,
Lots
in
of
your
issues.
case, it's not the newer, it's not, you can't just say it's a new teacher issue, right?
Oh, no, no.
Okay.
It's just overall not knowing what
Gotcha.
life is putting out there
Okay.
in general.
So I'm having,
Yeah, that's like a lot of experience teaching, and that is causing
issue.
overflow issues
Yeah.
into other classrooms, into specials, into the hallway.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the big one.
That's the root of what you're seeing
Mhm.
there. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Is there anything like across the school at all that you're seeing like that the school could be doing, in your opinion, that the school could be doing better?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
But you're right. I think if it's hard for a class because if you have certain hallway expectations and you have certain hallway expectations and then your partner teachers don't have the same hallway expectations as you, then you're still looking frowned upon because one class is doing it the way the other teacher's teaching them when your expectations are much higher for hallway expectations.
But see, like for third grade, when Miss E was here and, we started all together at the beginning of the year, we're quiet in the hallway. That's hallway expectations. We are quiet. Miss Baker even said that at the beginning of the year. So I don't know why for one part of the third grade team, it's changed. It's just willy-nilly, get in line. I'm not gonna watch you. I'm not even walking with you to your specials.
And that's something that I've kind of put down over here, is that, at least on my end, And luckily with fifth grade, I feel like it's confined fairly to the classroom. I put it as a negative thing because it's not consistent across the board, but I feel like it's a style of teacher thing. We all have different expectations. I would call them all high expectations for how we expect the kid to act, but they are different. Like, so what a nice structured environment for Miss Daniels looks like might not be what's going on in here, because I think we do a lot of turn and talks in here. It's gonna be louder in here. It is what it is. And me, I'm okay with that, because to me, if they're talking about, if they're talking academically, I'm fine with the noise. It doesn't bother me. And I feel like, at least for the common areas, luckily it hasn't trickled over, because when it comes to the common areas, we've all got roughly the same expectations as one another. Like, you're in the hallway, you're quiet. And I think that's a strength that we have, is, like I said, high expectations across the board. I have noticed the lunchroom, which kind of goes into another thing that I think fifth grade's struggling with, and it's fairly recently that it started happening, but the level of respect that they have for people that aren't their teachers. If you're not one of us three in fifth grade, they tend to get a lot lippier with you. And I don't know necessarily what started that. I know dismissal, kind of going off of what you said, and this has been a struggle for me all year, because they have us in 3 way different locations, and I'm the only fifth grade teacher over there at that time. And then when tutoring's all over there, and then you've got the car riders over there, and I'm very split between, I've gotten to the point, and I hate it, but I've gotten to the point where fifth grade just stay over on this side away from everyone to keep the noise level down. But I would say, going off what you said, I feel like if we can at least bare minimum make the common area expectations, like, this is non-negotiable, it doesn't matter what your personal management style is, this is the expectations for common areas, then that would
There's
be.
just not any management style at all.
Yeah.
It's willy-nilly, it's whatever, it's chaos.
Okay. So, kind of going off of that, looking for the answers now. So what patterns, kind of just talking across all of us now that we've seen strengths and weaknesses, what patterns are we noticing across the board? Like, now that so for instance, example, Ms. Davenport, yours is mainly about fourth grade, but is there anything that, like, you don't think that what you've written down is just limited to fourth grade at all?
Let's talk about just like the constant testing.
Okay.
That just with not even upper grades, but the lower grades too.
They do a lot of testing too.
I know at one point, I forgot like exactly when it was, but they looked at kinder. They started off with kinder, and they counted how many days of testing kinder had, and at the end of it, and it was kind of like mid-year. At the end of it, they only had about like 30 straight solid instructional days.
That didn't have some sort of
That
test.
didn't have some type of testing. So if that's kinder, imagine how uppers is. Now, it is okay to give like a mini check, 10 questions, yes, but when you're giving half of a STAR test to build stamina, but that's every Friday, that's not stamina, that's actually,
It's
depleting them. So
yeah.
it's actually doing the opposite, and you're going to be data, but now it's going to be nada, because you're going to come up with nothing. That is a constant thing that I think, and it's a root cause, because now it's like we say that we're not teaching for a test, but ultimately we are. And now the kids feel it, because now by the time they try to grasp a concept, here's a test over something that I'm just barely grasping. Then by the time it's time for me to get it, it's another test over a different TEK, because I know for math, from December to February, we went over at least 13 to 14 different TEKs. Mm-hmm. So if you think about how many weeks between January and February,
That's less than a TEK.
It's less than a TEK a week. So that is a root cause, because the kids are already low. But if you're throwing a test at them, if you're throwing these TEKs at them, and it's something that is new within the grade level, that's a challenge. So, of course, if I don't get it, I'm going to show out. Of course, if I don't get it, I'm going to say, forget it. I'm not going to even put forth an effort, because Too
Well, and
much.
it's also gone up because last year it was like one every 9
I remember,
days.
yeah, I remember I'd done that math. It was,
And
I think,
now it's almost
One-
one every 5 days.
like one a week.
Yeah.
Minimum. And I know in the 5th grade, or I don't know, sorry, I was gonna say in the older, but at least in the 5th grade side, I know we've done a fairly good job of at least trying to like make it to where if we're testing, we all try to do it on one day so that it just messes up one day. But I know it's happened before where it's like, especially with this last DCP cycle and the interims and whatnot, it was like math unit check, math unit check, DCP for reading, interim for science, interim for math, DCP for science, and so it was just back to back to back, and there was, because that was a district rollout, there was no way for us to redo the dates or anything, it was just, we tested when we were told. And by the end of it, I think that if you look at science, at least, that's what I have the knowledge in, but like, the interim data was way different than the DCP data, and the only difference was the DCP data was taken, 5 days after straight testing, even though it was the same level of rigor for each question. All right. So, what about Strings Smith Davenport? What's something that we feel like the campus is gonna like lean on, if you want to call it that?
I'm going to talk about us being a village of some sort, because when we talk about village, we think about family or friends, but not so much coworkers. In our village, although we see the upper people all the time, our village sometimes are the lower teachers, and vice versa, because it's one thing when we're rotating and the kids are dealing with that student and we're dealing with that student for a period, but we have to look at it as sometimes the kids need a break. It's not just us, just because we deal with it for the period, they deal with it for the day, but it's like they need a break as well. And I feel like it's okay for us to send them to lowers and lowers send them to upper just for a change of scenery. And then they have to understand that, hey, the rules still does apply when you're in that lower grade, just like the upper grade. So I think sometimes we need that reminder that, like, are we a dysfunctional village? Absolutely. Like, who's not? I said, but I know that if I call my person down there, they're gonna be like, send them right on, and vice versa. I think that is our village too, and that's looking at it from like the student aspect. But for us as teachers, I feel like it's still the same thing, because we're not only teachers, we're mamas, we're dads,
All
we're
in
doctors,
Yeah.
we're all in one. But I think
For 8
sometimes,
hours a day, we're these kids' parents effectively for 8
but
hours.
I think sometimes that we lose like hindsight that like we're students too. Like we're still looking for a mom, a dad, a counselor, a doctor too. So our village may be someone that's in the lower grades, or someone that we may just see at dismissal that we can just be like, whew, like today was a day. Like I was like, I think it's just, as I said, we are one in Crandall. We are one to some extent, because my one may be someone that I can just see for 5 minutes. My one would be the one we're waiting to make copies, and we're like venting. Like, I may not see you and talk to you every day, but I know that if I call on you and say, hey, I need this, it's like with no hesitation, send them down, or vice versa.
And I know that's not the first time I've heard that, and not from you, but like from other people too. Because I remember a while back I was interviewing Collins, and she was like, I'm positive that if I were to walk around and be like, I need volunteers for this, can you help? She's like, 90% of the teachers would say yes. And I mean, case in point right now, I was like, can we go to this meeting? And every person that I asked was in here. So,
Can I send some third graders to you?
Absolutely.
yeah. And I know we did it all the time
Yeah,
last
we do
year,
it
where
all the time.
we had that one kid that it was like, this is your kid, this is who's connected with you, so.
And
White and Tatum send a
Yeah.
couple of fourth graders, and I don't mind that at all.
And I think that kind of helps, like when we say like vertical alignment too, we think it's all academics, but sometimes our vertical alignment is you
Behavior.
legit getting them in line. Like
Yeah.
you have to understand, like, you want to act childish, you need to go to a lower. If you want to act grown, come up here. So then you know that what you're learning and what you're doing is not going to hold weight when you get into the upper grade. So I think that's vertical alignment as well. But
Behavioral.
but some people look at it
Behavioral
was like, hey, like she took my
Social
kids. Yeah, so she must like, why does she always have the kids? Why does she always have that? Why does she, I don't look at it as a negative thing. If you take another student, you just may have a better relationship, or they may feel, inclined to do more and put more forth of an effort with you versus that person. So I think it's okay to have your village. It's okay to academically and behaviorally align, because that's how you make it through the day. Because once you take that away and you take you having a mental away, I think that's where you become almost inhumane. And then that's when, as they say, the robots are going to take over with all the emotions in the world.
Okay, so for you, sorry, let me clarify. So your one big like pattern that you're like, we need to improve on this is the testing, but then for a strength that we have, like we're all fairly good at leaning on one another. Okay, what about you, Ms. Trevino?
Patterns is each teacher's doing things their own way, and if we are in common places like the cafeteria or the hallway or dismissal, I think we need to be on the same page for everything.
Okay.
So if second grade, third grade, and fourth grade are out on the porch, then second grade, third grade, and fourth grade all need to be sitting the same type of way on the porch, because letting some kids get away with it versus the other kids, it almost kind of makes a trickling effect of non-effectiveness.
Okay.
But as for answers to problems that could possibly help, I think we should bring morning meeting back more than one day. I don't know if it's every day, because that's a lot, and it was kind of overstimulating, but I do think
More than once a week.
yes, because I think Colin's putting into that, she put in a lot of work on the slogans and the norms and how we act in school, how we, like, and going over that every day, maybe not help,
It's not going to reach every
Us,
kid, but it's going to help a lot.
but
of
it will
kids.
help, some of those kids that need that same routine, not only their same routine every day, going off a sped point,
Yeah.
like some people need that same schedule every single day, but also hearing it every day kind of put it in their brain.
Mhm.
And I think we had better behavior from it last year. Again, like on all grade levels. I'm not saying they were perfect baby angels, but I'm not
More just
noticing-
across the board.
Yeah.
I did have a question for you, because I know you mentioned like in dismissal with the staff, with the buses. Would you say that a lot of that is that the expectations aren't the same, or just there isn't enough staff in there to begin with? Let me rephrase that. Is there not enough staff assigned, or is it that there's staff assigned and people aren't going?
Yes.
Okay.
I think the turnover rate's so high, so we've had 3 different ESL paras, and the first para knew exactly what to do because she was here for our orientation, and this third para we have has no idea what to do.
Okay.
So we're
So
not.
maybe it's not a malicious non-compliance, they just
Just-
because they were hired halfway through the year, they weren't given the same level of training.
Yes.
Okay.
But also, I think for next year, like, if we could plan beforehand on certain things, I think we could make troubles go out of the way. Only on, like, specific things, like I was saying for, like, the dismissal plans, but also, like, once we get our class rosters, I think we should have our roster printed out somewhere in the room and a split schedule, so that way if we need to split our classes, the sped kids know where to go, and then that way the paras can still get their time with them. Or they know they could go to the classroom where they know they're going to get the most structure, so that, like, you can prepare better. It's like things like that, and like pre-planning before the actual event happens, so that way you know exactly what to.
We're talking like if we have a sickness or something, like we always have that go back, or like our teacher binder, but some, like they say, make sub plans, but some people make it into the day of, so being proactive
Yes.
beforehand and say,
So-
I know, like, if something happened, if I have to leave early, like, here's a roster, this is how it should be split. In hindsight, if so-and-so is acting up, then here's another, like have
So
another
basically,
alternative.
have that split roster in the go bag and have it posted
Yeah.
in the classroom.
And I'll say
as
at
well.
least like I'll say like a month and a half into school, because the first month, of course, you're still learning.
Right.
You're still learning them, but at least at some point, it say it gotta be a must that it has to
Yeah.
be
So
a
by
schedule
end of
with that.
September,
Yeah,
have
and
it
the
ready.
office must have that, or your teammates kind of make it. It makes it easier.
And I'm not even talking just about gen ed teachers either, because I've also thought of ways like when we're in here and we're at the beginning of the year, we don't, sped teachers don't vertical align usually. But if we could get the speech teacher and the MTA teacher and the OT and all of us together in one room and just have a day in the beginning of the year when y'all are doing your norms and routines, we're scheduling out our minutes so that way we're not going into
Oh,
MTA's
laughing.
and just like
Yeah.
pre-planning, so that way it can make a smoother transition and there wouldn't be
know.
any bumps in the road.
I know at the beginning of the year too, like figuring out like MTA times and how that overlap with intervention times.
So
and
that's like if we could just start that
earlier.
earlier.
Okay.
But that even goes into the planning of like
So
the schedule.
an idea that I had, and feel free, because this is my in a perfect world, I feel like it'd be a really good idea, but in practice, getting buy-in for it, would it be worth having like at the beginning of the year, before even the first day of school, just having like a practice run of the day? And I'm not saying like a full 8-hour day or anything like that, but like everyone go to where you're gonna be at the start of the day. Okay, it's currently 8 o'clock, where are we all going? And having like each teacher walk through, they get there, don't have them sit in their room for the next 30 minutes, like waiting, but like, all right, now it's 8:30, where are you taking your classes? Like at that point, you know, pre-K's coming back from this, like having the teacher just walk through their day.
I think it'd be beneficial for first year teachers.
Okay.
That's my thought too. That's what I was gonna say.
I
So
don't
like
think-
the more experienced teachers might be able to just look at it and see, but the ones that have never walked through a day at all.
Most of them.
Might, okay.
Most of them can do that.
Okay. Maybe first year to Crandall teachers
Yeah.
at the very least.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if like I mean, we will all been in the school next year, like
Right.
for a few years now, so like I don't think it would benefit us as much because we know the expectations.
Right. And that was gonna be my other thing. So I know at the beginning of the year, we kind of walked through like the hallway expectations, where they had someone kind of present like, this is the hall, this is the bathroom expectations. How can we refine that though, so that it's more honest? Because to me, that's what I'm hearing, and I'm hearing what you're saying too, with like, if you are in an area where other grade levels can see you, you need to be doing the same thing as the other grade levels, and to the point where like, it's just, this is what we're doing. How do we get every teacher on the same level with that? I mean, I feel like that's the $1 million question.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I feel like with that, I feel like the more seasoned teachers need to be modeling that. Because I mean, let's say we look at it as a kid aspect, but as adults, we have to model that as well. Because some of us don't even meet bathroom expectations. Like we're talking, we don't go in there and go push off. We're doing everything else.
the expectation's
yeah.
quiet in the hallway. We're not
Yeah,
having like a
like
gossip
yeah, we're
section in the
gossiping
hall.
down the hallway. I was like, so it's us modeling
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
And then that could be like, oh, well, you see how I walk down the hall quietly. Instead of, you say, you see me and I'm over here like the entire time. I'm not meeting expectation. My phone is out. I think modeling that, but also, this also goes to another root cause. It's like the mentorship too. Because I feel like at that point in time, your mentor should be able to give you those expectations from the get-go too. And I do believe like we should have like that test run, because it's one thing you tell us, oh yeah, go here, go here, go here. There's a stop sign on the floor, stop right there.
Mhm.
But some of us actually need to visually and physically do it for us to be like, oh, okay. Because you telling me one thing, there's a stop sign where? Like, what corner? Where's this?
Right.
Like, let's walk through it. Because, I mean, if you think about, like, when we do, like, the active shooting thing, like, we assimilate that, but we don't assimilate expectations.
So
Right.
like having the mentors with the mentees while
Yeah.
they're doing the walkthrough.
Yeah, but that's also should be with that should be strategically planned. Mentorship as well. That's
Mhm.
another
Making sure that you're partnered with the right person.
with the right
With
person.
Yeah, as someone who has been a mentor this year, it needs some revamping, and that's not necessarily the district's fault because this is their pilot program for this, but next year I think instead of monthly trainings, I don't know. I don't have an answer for that one yet, but it needs to be
looked
tweaked.
at.
It does, and
Like-
especially if you have teachers coming into the district who are veteran teachers,
Mhm.
20 years, they may not need that type
Right.
of mentorship.
Let's see if it's on a case by
For
case.
me,
Yeah.
it's felt like a waste of my
So
time.
what if instead of like requirement, if you got 20 years of experience, instead of you have to be in attendance, it's if you have questions, this is your direct line. So like, because there's always going to be like district specific
Yeah.
things that like, even if you're 20 years in, if you've never been at Crandall, you don't know how Crandall does this. So if you have a question,
But here's who you reach out
Yeah,
to.
so yeah, that's how I feel
Yeah.
like. I feel like those like New Year teachers, DOI and all that stuff, I feel like, yeah, they need a designated person. But also with that, I feel like it should be split too. Like, this person is going to handle like the behavior side. This person's going to handle the data side. This person's going to handle this side. So then it's almost like you have a chairperson. Then you have your co-chairs is going to be your actual mentor. So if they can't answer that question, then you go to them. Or even if you're 20 years in, you can say, hey, I'm just having this one problem. I don't need a mentor. I just need maybe that chairperson
Like
that's over academics.
every new teacher gets a list of like, this is who to contact. If I got a
Yeah.
question about Skyward, go see Miss Davenport.
Yeah, so it's like it's a ladder of
Okay.
who. I mean, so we have a ladder of
Chain of
chain of
command.
command. So like we have that for like if you're going to the office referral, that's your referral. Like
Yeah.
it's a referral system.
This
basically for teachers.
is the campus expert on this subject.
Yeah.
So contact them about
Contact
this.
them. Contact
Okay.
them. Like
Are you going to present this to Ms. Baker?
two,
I've got my.
two before me type of thing.
Yeah,
So I honestly I feel like that's a good.
I think that's a very good
A
system.
good thing. You need help with technology, this your person. You need help with the data. You need help with this. And then plus I feel like if we're doing it that way, that will build the culture. But it will
It also
also,
forces you to talk to people.
you
wouldn't
don't normally talk to. I said, but also it'll take something off of like admin plate
Yeah.
as well, because it's like you're coming at me with something that's so small and minute when really go to Davenport. Well, how do I know I'm supposed to go to
And
Davenport with
Collins
that,
might be-
Yeah, we don't
Collins
know.
might be a
Yeah.
supervisor, but you know, when it comes to grades, she might not have put in a grade in Skyward in at least 4 to 5
5
years at
years.
this point. So like, she might not know off the top of
Top
her
of the head,
head.
Go
yeah.
to her
For Skyward,
issues.
for Skyward,
That's what
she's
I
like,
do.
Technology, I mean, like go to Davenport, so you can't say go to Davenport. I didn't know she does that. I just see her
Right.
around. So
Mhm.
I think having it,
A list.
and
Yeah,
at the very
that
least,
is-
even if you have like a newer teacher, that would take a plate off having to teach them literally everything at that point too, because while in a perfect world they do get walked through every expectation that we have, it's going to be a lot easier to be like, hey, we know you're new. Here's your list of like everyone that you contact if you have a question
so
about.
like I know, I want to say it was like our first year where we got it. I'm gonna call it like the playbook or something, where it had
Mhm.
all the everything in there. I feel like that's still needed,
Needs to be
and
there.
I feel like that should be like for everyone. Like even just a reminder with the referrals, how to put in grades, how to put. I still have mine, and sometimes
Mhm.
I'd be like, oh, let me refer it back to it. Let me get it out. My cabinet. Let me go back to that because it stuck with me. That
Yeah.
it's my first year in a new district. This is something that I can look at as a reference. So I think having that reference material to where like if it's a question that's in there, say, hey, go to your reference book, go to your
I
playbook.
think
It's
that-
right there.
We tried it with the website, but I don't think it's stuck.
It's one thing with the website.
I think that website's mainly used for submitting lesson plans.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I can't speak for everyone.
Yeah.
I know from a me perspective, like I use that primarily to submit lesson plans and
Yeah.
find a map if I like.
Yeah. And even with that, like even that T-test book, like flipping through, I was like, oh, like it's color coded, so I know my eyes can be on it. Like if I can easily find it. Let me go ahead and turn to that, so I know what I need to be doing. Let's say my playbook. Let me go ahead and get that out because this is how you. Like for instance, Jessica asked, "How do you do this?" It's her first year in this position. I was like, "It's in our playbook," and I just made a copy. She's like, "You still have it?" I was like, "Nobody else does." So I was like, "I still refer to that." And it's just like my senior year here, so
Yeah.
I think having
That would have
something
been
that's
beneficial to me as a first year teacher in
Yeah.
Crandall, this year, because I didn't know anybody and didn't know who to go to for certain things.
Well, and I remember one of our,
Yeah.
like, last meetings, whenever we were doing the, aware thing, like, that you didn't know that you could pull that specific data in that way in there, like, you were shown how to pull the test scores, but yeah, I don't,
Yep, that's a whole training right there.
and I know
In
that,
Aware.
I know that talking to other teachers, like, that's been a common thing that I've heard, and the problem is you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Like, and I feel like that's part of the refinement process, though, and that's what needs to be, like, the sit down, like, you need to know X, Y, Z, but also, how do you know what every person needs to know? Because if you're a 20-year teacher and you already know that, you're sitting in the training like, this is a waste of time, but then if it never gets answered and you don't even know that you need to know that,
And if you're coming from another district, they may not have used Aware.
or, yeah, like, what is it?
We didn't.
Like,
So-
we're very big on Google Classroom here. I know in Forney it was Edudence?
Yeah.
Something like
We use
that.
Edudence.
Yeah.
I've
It-
never even heard of that.
Well, now this upcoming year, we're all moving to Google emails, and we're all getting rid of Outlook.
I saw that. Are we still doing as a and Aware and all that? Well, so
They're trying to move everything to Google, so unless there's a Google license, probably not.
Yeah, probably not.
That seems like ridiculous.
So like I need a Google Classroom and all
Probably.
I can help you.
So, what I have for like patterns that we're seeing that like we are good at is we're fairly good at relying on one another. Morning meeting was something that we did well that we probably need to bring back. And then for like things that we need to work on kind of across the board is while there's certainly individual teachers that like in their classroom might need some management issues, common areas across the board, like making sure that we all have the same common area expectations. And then also what do you want to call it? The referral system, not discipline referral, but like knowing who to refer to if I have a specific question about something. Okay, that is all the time that we have. So thank you all for being here. I will certainly work on a presentation to bring Ms. Collins and Ms.
I'll
Baker.
let you teach it.
That would be wonderful.
I will
Enjoy
keep
the
those
drawings.
and let me
Holding it.